Clarity is the beginning of all achievement. Without it, we drift. With it, we drive. You see, most people don't fail because they lack talent, resources, or opportunities. They fail because they never took the time to define what success truly means to them. If the picture in your mind is blurry, then your results will be too. Clarity is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Now let me be clear. Clarity doesn't mean having all the answers. It means having direction. Jim Rohn used to say, "You've got to stand guard at the door of your mind." That starts by deciding what to focus on. Clarity begins the moment you sit down, quietly and honestly, and ask yourself, what do I really want? What does the good life look like to me? This is not about what your parents want or what society tells you to chase. This is about you, your unique values, and your picture of fulfillment. People often say, "I just want to be happy," but happiness is not a goal. It's a byproduct. It comes when we live with purpose, with intention. That's what clarity gives you: a target to aim for, a reason to get up in the morning, and a filter to separate what matters from what doesn't. Without it, we confuse movement with progress. We stay busy but go nowhere. We spend the day climbing a ladder, only to find it was leaning against the wrong wall. Clarity sharpens your decision-making. When you know what you want, choices become easier. You can say no to distractions, detours, and dead ends. You stop chasing every shiny object because you've chosen your path. And once you're on that path, even the hard days have meaning. Because now you're not just working, you're building something. One of the simplest ways to build clarity is to write down your goal, not just in your head, on paper. Describe them in detail. Don't just say, "I want to be successful." Say, "I want to earn $100,000 a year doing work I love, helping people improve their health while living in a home near the ocean." Now you've got a target. Now your brain can get to work figuring out how to get there. Vague goals produce vague results. Clear goals create clear focus. But here's where most people stop. They write a goal and think clarity is done. No, clarity must be renewed. It must be reviewed. Every day, remind yourself what you're working toward. Read it, visualize it, feel it. The mind works best with repetition. Just like we shower every day to stay clean, we need to revisit our goals to stay mentally sharp and focused. Clarity also forces you to face the truth. Sometimes when you get clear on what you want, you realize your current habits don't support that outcome, and that's a good thing. That gap, the one between where you are and where you want to be, that's the space for growth. When you have clarity, you can start aligning your actions with your intentions. That's when momentum begins to build. You start to live on purpose rather than by accident. Let's not forget, clarity brings peace. The world is noisy. It's full of opinions, options, and endless distraction. Clarity is like a compass in a storm. It keeps you steady when the world tries to pull you in every direction. And the beautiful part is, once you develop that inner clarity, it becomes much easier to influence your outer world. People respect those who know where they're going. Opportunities come to those with vision. Life responds to the person who knows what they want and is willing to work for it. So don't wait for clarity to arrive by accident. Create it by design. Sit down, reflect, write, think, ask the hard questions, get specific, decide. And once you do, watch how everything else starts to move. The phone calls you make, the books you read, the people you attract, all of it begins to shift around your new level of clarity. Jim Rohn used to say, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. So decide what your life should look like. Be the architect of your future. Because clarity isn't just the first step, it's the foundation. And with it, you can build anything. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. You can dream all day, set goals, visualize success, but without discipline, nothing happens. Discipline is the glue that holds your ambitions together. It's the daily practice, the quiet effort, the small consistent actions that turn ideas into reality. Jim Rohn said it best, we must all suffer one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The choice is yours. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's not about grand gesture. It's about simple things done daily, even when you don't feel like doing them. Anyone can be motivated for a day, but it takes discipline to show up when motivation is gone. That's when true growth happens. Not when it's easy, but when it's hard and you keep going anyway. Success doesn't respond to wishes. It responds to effort. Most people want to achieve big things, but they underestimate the cost. The cost is discipline, and discipline is always paid in advance. You don't get the reward first. You pay the price, often quietly, when no one is watching. It's getting up early to work on your goals. It's saying no to distractions. It's choosing the long-term gain over the short-term pleasure. People often ask, how do I stay disciplined? The truth is, you don't have to rely on willpower alone. You build systems. You create structure. You make it easier to do the right thing and harder to do the wrong one. You manage your environment. If your goal is to eat healthy, don't keep junk food in the house. If your goal is to write a book, schedule time to write each day and protect it like an appointment. Discipline is not about trying harder. It's about designing smarter. But make no mistake, discipline will test you. It will challenge your comfort zone. It will ask you to do things when you'd rather not. That's where most people turn back. They say it's too hard. But understand this, success is hard, but regret is harder. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret can last a lifetime. One missed workout doesn't ruin you, but the habit of skipping workouts does. One late night of procrastination won't derail you, but the pattern of avoiding your responsibilities will. Jim Rohn taught that disciplines tend to multiply. When you get disciplined in one area of your life, it spills over into others. You start eating better, and suddenly you're more productive at work. You begin saving money, and you feel more confident. You read more books, and your thinking sharpens. Discipline is the great accelerator. It creates momentum, and with momentum, everything becomes easier. Here's the secret most people don't realize. Discipline builds self-respect. Every time you follow through on what you said you'd do, you send a signal to yourself. I can trust me. That's powerful, because the most successful people in life trust themselves. They believe they can rely on their own word. That belief doesn't come from talking. It comes from doing, from making and keeping promises to yourself. And let's not forget the compound effect. One day of discipline doesn't seem like much, but day after day, week after week, the results begin to multiply. It's not glamorous at first. No one claps when you study late or turn down that dessert. But eventually, those small wins turn into a powerful identity. You become someone who follows through, someone who finishes what they start, someone who doesn't just talk about goals, but lives them. There will be days you don't feel like showing up. Show up anyway. Discipline isn't about feelings. It's about decisions. Decide once. Follow through daily. Over time, what once felt difficult becomes your new normal. You grow strong. Your capacity expands. And suddenly what once seemed impossible is now your lifestyle. Discipline is the habit of greatness, not just in business or money, but in health, relationships, learning and contribution. Anything meaningful you want in life will require discipline to attain and to maintain. So don't fight it. Embrace it. Build it slowly, patiently. You don't need to change everything at once. Just start with one small habit. Do it consistently. Watch it grow. Jim Rohn said, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines, practiced every day. That's it. Simple but not easy. But if you commit to it, truly commit, there's almost nothing you can't achieve. Discipline is the great equalizer. It doesn't care where you start. It only asks, will you keep going? If the answer is yes, then success is not a matter of if, but learn more to earn more. It's a principle that never fails. A timeless truth repeated across generations and industries. The more valuable you become, the more you can offer. The more you can offer, the more you can earn. And how do you become more valuable? You learn, you grow, you invest in your own mind. Jim Rohn said, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. The real breakthroughs don't come from a diploma. They come from curiosity, discipline, and a hunger to never stop learning. Most people stop learning when school ends. They think the diploma is the finish line. But in reality, that's just the beginning. School teaches you how to follow directions. Self-education teaches you how to direct your own life. If you want to change your income, change your knowledge. Learn something new. Learn something that solves a problem. Because money flows to value, and value flows from knowledge applied with purpose. But not just any knowledge. You need the right kind. You can be full of trivia and still broke. What you want to focus on is relevant learning. Knowledge that directly helps you become better at your craft, smarter in your decisions, and more adaptable in a changing world. The world doesn't stand still, so neither can your mind. Technology changes, industries evolve, and what worked 5 years ago may not work tomorrow. That's why learning must become a lifelong habit. Start with reading. Leaders are readers. Not because they like books, but because they love ideas. Books are condensed wisdom. They allow you to compress decades into days. Jim Rohn carried a journal and a book with him constantly. Why? Because ideas are like sparks. You never know when one could change everything. You don't need to read for hours. Even 10 pages a day compounds. That's over 3,500 pages a year. One idea from those pages could be worth thousands or more. And don't just read, listen. Learn from people who've done what you want to do. Podcasts, audiobooks, interviews. There's a wealth of experience at your fingertips. Success leaves clues, and those clues are often spoken by those who've already walked the path. Ask questions. Attend seminars. Take notes. Don't just be a consumer. Be a student of success, a student of life, a student of yourself. Self-education isn't passive. It's active. You learn, then you apply. Real growth happens, not just from knowing something, but from doing it. You want to internalize knowledge, not just memorize it. If you read a book on communication, go use what you learned in your next conversation. If you take a course on finance, apply it to your budget or investment plan. Learning without application is like planting seeds and never watering them. It's wasted potential. And here's something powerful. Your earning will rarely exceed your learning. If your income is stuck, it's often because your ideas are, you need new input to create new output. That could mean mastering a new skill, upgrading an old one, or developing the mindset that allows you to handle more responsibility. Remember, people aren't paid for time. They're paid for value. You increase your value through education and execution. Now, some people say they don't have time to learn, but the truth is, we make time for what we value. Even 20 minutes a day can transform your trajectory over a year. That's over 120 hours annually. Enough to master a new topic, start a side business, or become an expert in your field. The key is consistency. Build a learning ritual. Maybe it's reading with your morning coffee, listening while driving, studying before bed. Make it automatic, and it becomes part of who you are. Here's the beautiful part. As you grow, your confidence grows too. You walk into rooms differently when you know you've prepared. You speak differently when you have substance behind your words. People notice, opportunities open, because people are drawn to growth-minded individuals. Those who don't settle for average. Those who strive to be better today than they were yesterday. Learning isn't just about earning money. It's about expanding your life. It makes you more interesting, more capable, more creative. It deepens your relationships, sharpens your thinking, and increases your contribution to the world. When you learn more, you don't just earn more. You live more. Jim Rohn once said, "Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better." And how do you get better? You learn, you study, you take what you learn and turn it into something real. So start today. Pick up a book, ask a mentor a question, watch a course, take notes, apply, and remember, every time you choose to learn, you're choosing to rise. Who you spend time with will either elevate your life or limit it. You become like the people you're around the most. Their habits, their mindset, their language. it all begins to rub off on you. Jim Rohn famously said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." That's not just a clever quote. It's a principle of life. If you're around people who are always complaining, making excuses, or staying stuck, don't be surprised if you start doing the same. But if you surround yourself with those who think big, act with purpose, and pursue growth, their energy pulls you higher. People are powerful influencers. They shape what you think is normal. If your circle doesn't value discipline, progress, or ambition, then those traits won't seem important to you either. But when you start associating with people who expect excellence from themselves and those around them, you'll naturally raise your standard. That's why your environment is either a mirror of your past or a window to your future, and you get to choose which it will be. This isn't about judging others. It's about protecting your potential. You can still care about people, but you don't have to let them influence you negatively. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is distance yourself from those who consistently pull you down, because your future deserves to be protected. It deserves to be surrounded by encouragement, vision, and accountability. Every dream requires a healthy environment to grow. It needs sunlight, not shade. It needs voices that say, "You can do this," not ones that say, "Why even try?" So how do you evaluate your current associations? Ask yourself, who makes me feel inspired, challenged, and supported? Who brings out the best in me? Who helps me think bigger, act braver, and stay true to my values? And just as important, who drains my energy? Who belittles my goals? Who keeps me stuck in the past instead of moving toward the future? These questions will tell you more about your path than any personality test ever could. You don't need to cut everyone out of your life, but you do need to be intentional. Create what Jim Rohn called a circle of influence. That means you choose with purpose who you allow to speak into your life. You build relationships that align with your vision, your values, and your mission. Seek out mentors, even if they're not in your immediate circle. Read their books, listen to their teachings, watch how they live. Success leaves clues, and wise mentors are the ones dropping them. It's also important to remember that your associations aren't just people. They're also the ideas, media, and messages you consume, the books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the social media you scroll. All of it is shaping your thinking. If you want to change your life, start by changing your inputs. Be as selective with your mind as you are with your money. Protect your attention like you protect your assets, because in truth, it's your most valuable resource. Now let's talk about proximity. Sometimes just being around the right people changes everything. When you see someone operating at a high level, it forces you to ask yourself, why not me? Their example becomes your permission slip. You realize they're not special. They're just committed. And if they can do it, so can you. That spark just from being in the room can be the catalyst for massive change. On the other side of that coin, you are also influencing others. You're someone's association. You're shaping someone's mindset by the way you show up. So ask yourself, am I the kind of person others grow around? Do I elevate the people near me or drain them? Great relationships are mutual growth exchanges. Iron sharpens iron. When you're surrounded by people who challenge and support each other, everyone wins. The truth is, we rise and fall together. That's why you must guard your circle as if your dreams depend on it. Because they do. You can't soar like an eagle if you spend all your time walking with turkeys. That may sound blunt, but it's a hard truth with a simple solution. Choose better company. Jim Rohn taught us to be students of influence, to ask, who am I becoming by being around this person? If the answer isn't aligned with who you want to be, it's time to make a change, not out of arrogance, but out of commitment to your future. You were meant for growth, for purpose, for progress, and the right people will help bring that out of you. So choose your associations wisely. Let them lift you. Let them refine you. Let them inspire you to be the very best version of yourself. Because with the right people around you, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Action is the final piece that turns dreams into reality. Without it, all the clarity, discipline, learning, and supportive relationships in the world will amount to nothing. Jim Rohn often said, "What we know will not matter if we don't act on it." You can have the perfect plan, the most brilliant ideas, and a vision so clear it lights you up inside. But until you take action, it remains just a vision. The world doesn't reward ideas, it rewards execution. Many people get stuck in planning mode. They feel productive because they're preparing, thinking, analyzing. But thinking is not the same as doing. Preparation is important. But if you wait for the perfect time, you'll be waiting forever. There's no such thing as the perfect moment. There's only now. Action creates momentum, and momentum opens doors. Once you start moving, new opportunities and lessons begin to appear. Ones you could never have anticipated from the sidelines. There's something magical about movement. When you act, even in small ways, you begin to reshape your world. That phone call you've been putting off could open a door. That uncomfortable conversation could lead to healing or opportunity. That one post, pitch, or presentation could be the beginning of everything you've been working toward, but none of it happens until you decide to move. Success doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you do. Taking action also builds confidence. Confidence doesn't come from standing still and hoping. It comes from facing your fears, pushing through resistance, and proving to yourself that you can follow through. The more you act, the more capable you feel. The more capable you feel, the more you act. It becomes a powerful cycle. On the flip side, the longer you delay, the heavier the weight of inaction becomes. Doubt grows in stillness. Courage grows in motion. Some people hesitate because they're afraid of making mistakes. But here's the truth. Mistakes are part of the process. They aren't signs that you're failing. They're signs that you're learning. Every successful person has a long trail of failed attempts behind them. What separates them from others is that they didn't stop. They didn't let fear paralyze them. They acted, adjusted, and kept going. Action doesn't require perfection. It requires commitment. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. Don't wait until the stars align or until you feel 100% ready. You don't need to have the full picture to take the first step. The first step will lead you to the second, and the second to the third. Clarity often comes through action. You may not know exactly what to do at first, but you'll figure it out by doing. Motion beats meditation when it comes to progress. One of the biggest misconceptions about action is that it has to be massive. People think they need to make a giant leap, when in reality, consistent small steps taken daily are far more powerful. 1 page written each day becomes a book. 10 push-ups each morning becomes a habit of health. 1 brave decision leads to another. The compound effect works here too. Small actions, repeated with intention, lead to massive outcomes over time. Another key to consistent action is creating accountability. Tell someone your goals, track your progress, set deadlines. When no one knows what you said you'd do, it's easy to let yourself off the hook. But when you create external pressure through a mentor, a peer, or a system, you're far more likely to follow through. Action thrives under structure. That's why the most successful people in any field set goals, review them, and act with urgency. Let's not ignore the emotional side either. Action changes how you feel. If you're anxious, stuck, or overwhelmed, the best remedy is often to do something. Movement disrupts fear. Motion breeds clarity. Even 1 productive hour can shift your energy and remind you that you're in control of your choice. You can't always control outcomes, but you can always control your actions. Jim Rohn said, "If you don't like how things are, change it. You're not a tree." That statement is simple but profound. You are not stuck. You are not rooted in place. You have the ability to move, to change, to improve. But nothing happens until you do. So don't wait for the perfect time. Take the first step, make the call, start the project, have the conversation, push the first domino. Because in the end, action is the proof of your desire. It's what separates those who wish from those who win. It's not talent, luck, or even timing. It's movement. So act boldly, consistently, and with faith that your steps are leading you somewhere worthwhile. The life you want is waiting on the other side of your willingness to take action. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces in life. It's not just a feeling. It's a mindset, a perspective, a choice. It transforms how you see the world, how you relate to others, and how you respond to challenges. Jim Rohn often spoke about gratitude as a foundation for joy and abundance. He understood that no matter how much you achieve, if you're not grateful, you'll always feel like something's missing. But when you live with gratitude, even the smallest blessings become meaningful, and even the toughest moments carry lessons. Gratitude doesn't mean you ignore problems or pretend everything is perfect. It means you recognize what is good, even in the midst of difficulty. It's the ability to say, this may not be what I wanted, but I can learn from it. I can grow through it. And I'm thankful for the strength it's building in me. That shift in mindset changes everything. When you choose to focus on what you do have instead of what you lack, you move from a place of scarcity to a place of abundance. Most people think gratitude is something you feel after good things happen. But truly successful people, those who live with depth and fulfillment, practice gratitude before the blessing comes. They're thankful in advance. They give thanks for the opportunity to grow, to try, to live another day. Gratitude becomes their baseline, their foundation. And when that's your starting point, it's much harder for negativity to take root. Gratitude also unlocks perspective. It allows you to zoom out from your problems and see the bigger picture. You begin to realize that many of the things you stress over are small compared to what you've already overcome. It helps you recognize how far you've come, rather than only seeing how far you have left to go. When you practice gratitude, you stop comparing your journey to others and start appreciating your own path. One of the best ways to build this mindset is to make gratitude a daily habit. Keep a journal. Each morning or evening, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. Maybe it's a kind word from a friend, the warmth of the sun, or simply the fact that you woke up healthy. The more you train your mind to look for what's right, the more right things you'll see. And over time, you rewire your brain to focus on the positive, even when challenges appear. Gratitude also improves your relationships. When you appreciate people and express it, they feel seen and valued. You strengthen trust. You build connection. People are drawn to those who are grateful, not just for favors or gifts, but for effort, time, and presence. A simple thank you, a note of appreciation, or a word of kindness can transform someone's day, and it costs nothing. That's the beauty of gratitude. It gives so much, but asks so little. Jim Rohn said, learn to be thankful for what you already have, while you pursue all that you want. That's the balance. Be grateful now, even as you grow. Gratitude doesn't mean complacency. It doesn't mean you stop striving. It means you enjoy the process, appreciate the progress, and stay rooted in what really matters. When you're grateful, your goals don't come from a place of lack. They come from a desire to expand, to contribute, to live fully. Gratitude also protects your peace. In a world full of noise, pressure, and distraction, it centers you. It reminds you of what matters. It keeps your ego in check and your spirit strong. It's easy to get caught up in what's missing, what you haven't achieved, what others have, that you don't. But gratitude brings you back. It reminds you that you're already blessed. And from that place of peace, you can move forward with greater clarity and joy. When challenges arise, gratitude becomes your anchor. It's what keeps you grounded when everything feels uncertain. Because no matter how hard things get, there is always something to be thankful for. Maybe it's the lesson, the growth, the people who support you, or the simple fact that you're still standing. Gratitude gives you resilience. It helps you endure. It transforms struggle into strength. The more you practice gratitude, the more life opens up to you. You begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You recognize the value in people, in experiences, in each passing day. And as you cultivate that spirit of thankfulness, life starts to feel richer, not because everything changes, but because you change. Gratitude is not an occasional reaction. It's a daily decision. And when you make that decision consistently, it colors every area of your life with meaning, joy, and peace. You'll discover that the more grateful you are, the more you'll have to be grateful for. One of the most important secrets to achieving everything you want in life is contribution, giving back, adding value, and serving others. It's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of personal success, goals, wealth, recognition, comfort. But true fulfillment doesn't come just from getting. It comes from giving. Jim Rohn taught that life works best when we operate from a mindset of contribution, because in giving to others, we actually expand our own lives. When you stop focusing only on what you can take and start asking, what can I give? Something shifts. You stop living small and start living with purpose. Contribution isn't just about charity or writing checks, though generosity in that form is powerful. It's also about the energy you bring, the encouragement you offer, the wisdom you share, the kindness you show. You contribute every time you lift someone up, teach them something, help them move forward, or simply listen when they need to talk. We all have something to give. Sometimes it's your time, sometimes it's your talent, sometimes it's your presence, but every act of contribution carries weight. One of the most extraordinary truths in life is that value always flows back to the source. When you become a person who contributes, who adds value wherever you go, opportunities begin to follow you. People remember how you made them feel. They remember that you helped them, even when you didn't have to. That kind of character is magnetic. It builds trust, and trust builds relationships, and relationships build everything else. Business, community, impact. There's a deep satisfaction that comes from knowing you made a difference, even in small ways. It could be helping a friend get through a hard time, mentoring someone younger, or simply being a person of integrity in a world that desperately needs more of them. Every time you give, you plant a seed, and like any seed, it may not sprout right away, but give it time, and it grows. Contribution is an investment in the world, and also in yourself. A big misconception is that you have to be wealthy, successful, or at the top before you can start contributing. But the truth is, you contribute from where you are, with what you have. You don't need a stage to inspire someone. You don't need millions to support a cause. You can start with a kind word, a helping hand, or a shared skill. Don't wait until you have more. Give from your current capacity, and watch it expand. Contribution also helps you overcome selfishness and scarcity. Think when you give without fear, when you trust that there's enough to go around, you start to live in abundance. You see others not as competitors, but as fellow travelers. You stop worrying about who's ahead or behind. You realize that the more you pour into others, the more life pours into you. That's the paradox. The more you give, the more you grow. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are, they're not just known for what they've achieved, but for what they've given, their impact, their generosity, their legacy. That's what contribution builds, a legacy. When you're gone, people won't remember the car you drove or how many followers you had. They'll remember how you made them feel, what you taught, what you stood for, what you gave. This mindset of contribution changes your goals too. It shifts your focus from what can I do, how can I serve. That's where the most powerful, sustainable motivation comes from. When your goals are only about you, it's easy to burn out or lose interest. But when your goals are tied to service, to impact, to meaning, you'll go farther, push harder, and stay stronger. Because it's not just about you anymore. It's about something bigger. Contribution also makes success more meaningful. Achieving your dreams is fulfilling, but sharing your success with others, that's where joy multiplies. Whether it's helping your family, lifting up your community, or supporting causes that matter to you, success becomes a tool for impact. It stops being the end and starts being a means. That's when success truly becomes significant. At the end of the day, the greatest measure of a life isn't how much we accumulate, but how much we contribute. That's the kind of wealth that can't be stolen or spent. It lives on, it echoes, and it fulfills in a way no paycheck ever could. Jim Rohn said, "Only by giving are you able to receive more than you already have." And that's the truth. If you want to live fully, give freely. If you want to be remembered, serve deeply. If you want to achieve everything you're capable of, tie your success to something bigger than yourself. That's when the journey becomes more than a climb. It becomes a call.